Well, hello again. For those who don't know me, my name is Alexander Ermakov and I work for Awara IT. We've been country partner of the year in Russia last year. I'm also having a title of Microsoft Most Valued Professional in two categories, in business applications and Azure. And I also have a hat of Microsoft Regional Director. Those who don't know what it is, I'm not working for Microsoft, but I'm talking directly to Microsoft top bosses, to Satya Nadella and -1, -2 bosses. And I'm trying to somehow affect the strategy of corporation in my region and connect the needs of the business with those who take decisions on top inside Microsoft. If you want to contact me directly or ask anything or would ask to pass any idea inside Microsoft on very top level, you can easily do this. Here are my contacts. I also talk directly to Microsoft product groups and also Dynamics product group and localization team. So we usually know quite many things in advance, long before things even appear in private preview. So a lot of things are tested on Microsoft Most Valued Professionals, and we discuss many features and those that might not even appear in the end, but we try to give honest feedback. I also want to say that I miss you so much, guys, and because I actually used to take a lot of energy from personal meetings and networking, and with all this pandemic situation, I feel a little bit without any power, because I don't know where to take the energy, and I would like to fly and meet you all in person, and I do hope that you feel safe within this pandemic crisis and all your families are safe, and I hope soon, probably this summer or autumn, we will be having a good dinner all together and see face to face.
Let's hope so.
Actually, I would like to have this also as a kind of discussion, because it is not just sharing my experience. I'm very interested to learn your experience about FastTrack, and we had done several large implementations with FastTrack involved, and honestly, we would do many things differently if we know all the things that we know today. And the concept of FastTrack, as we thought in the beginning, turned out to be a different one when we actually started to work with those guys. And as an example, I would use our recent project that went live January last year. This is one of the largest private companies in Kazakhstan, the largest mining company in Kazakhstan, Kazakhmys. They dig copper, and they're one of the largest copper producers in the region. And we went live in 8 months with almost 1,200 users in the cloud with Russian localization, and it has been the first ever implementation of Russian localization in the world. And at that time, it has been the largest project in Central Eastern Europe. At the moment, the customer is using, I think, already more than 2,000 cloud seats, and we are increasing this quantity by rolling out the functionality to other subsidiaries of the customer and implementing other phases of the project. So we went live mainly with finance part, but then we started to implement other parts of the project as well. And the difficulty of the project was that we have actually very little time before the go live. And in the beginning, it has been totally clear that this will be a huge implementation, and there would be a lot of licenses and a lot of efforts. And in the very beginning, when we actually won this case over SAP, and it has been quite a difficult battle, and Initially, the customer wanted to go on-prem, but during the project, we managed to turn the tables and persuade them to go to a cloud, which was a good decision in the end. In the very beginning, I actually communicated with Microsoft on many levels. On top level, I was talking to Mohammed Alam and a few other that level people saying that actually we have a great win here and we need FastTrack immediately in the very beginning of the project. And here we come to one of the issues that we have at the moment is that the customer usually, in terms of Microsoft, is eligible for FastTrack only if he invests a certain amount of money in licenses. And at those times, there has been a limitation of a certain quantity of licenses. Now, if you follow the changes, the customer has a limitation in terms of the actual USD amounts. So the customer is eligible for FastTrack if he will invest during the year more than 300,000 USD. And if it is a lower amount between 100 and 300, Microsoft will think whether he is eligible or not. And the first problem that I wanted to highlight here is that FastTrack appears in the project very late. We were unlucky and we were not given FastTrack in the beginning of the project. It was about April of 2018 and 19. And we actually started the project without FastTrack. And then it means that usually the customers, they're not purchasing the licenses in the very beginning, the full stack of licenses in the very beginning of the project, because they don't need those. They don't want to waste their money and just sit with licenses purchased while all the technical designs and functional designs and development phases are done. So this was exactly this case, and the customer actually had purchased a very little amount of licenses that is needed for some tests and development, but the whole pack of licenses they purchased in October and late October, 2 months before the go live, which is normal for most of the customers to invest when it is needed. But then it turned out that this project automatically has been eligible for FastTrack, and FastTrack appeared suddenly. And FastTrack actually has a different aims rather than customer and rather than the partner itself. And as we understood, FastTrack actually is a kind of gatekeeper. They want to ensure that the project performance will be okay by granting minimum available resources in a cloud. So they actually want to control the project the way that they would not overspend the cloud resources of the vendor, and ensure that the whole system would not go down at some point. And for this purpose, they actually have a certain number of requirements that we as partner together with customer, we need to fulfill. And this is not anymore implementation in the old-fashioned way where we have just a partner and the customer. It is actually an implementation of partner, customer, and vendor. And vendor in this case is actually a gatekeeper, and they will not give you the access to production environment, and they will not let the customer go live in agreed date if you would not fulfill a certain number of requirements that FastTrack has for the project. And when project actually goes closer to the go live and customer buys licenses, and there is actually 2 months before the go live, when FastTrack appears, it appears with a number of requirements, and they say, hey, show us what do we have here. You should have this kind of tests and this kind of documents, and this kind of documents you should rewrite in English language. And we historically have all the documents in Russian, and we didn't plan actually for the FastTrack audit the way that they would ask all the documents in English. And there has been so many requirements that we actually told, sorry guys, but we would not be able to fulfill everything in 2 months because we actually are quite busy with the go live preparation itself. So we would not be able to fulfill everything. And FastTrack just told, well, then just move the go live date. And it was like so natural for them. Imagine the whole corporation, there are like 30,000 people working, and they're digging copper and they're melting this, and everything, the whole go live date was tailored for the 1st of January, which is the beginning of the finance year, and the customer wanted to go in the very beginning of finance year. All the cutover plans were aimed to catch this phase, and then the FastTrack just says, well, just move the go live date. And we fight actually quite a lot with those guys, saying that we would not move the go live date because this would mean for the customer that the project would be failed, and the customer would be unhappy. And we had a number of phone calls where we actually argued quite a lot. But then finally we managed to achieve a certain understanding, and finally we fulfilled most of the requirements of FastTrack, except a couple of things that I need to mention again. So the main idea of FastTrack is actually good. They are trying to ensure that everything goes well and the project would not fail after the go live. There would be enough resources, there would be enough cloud resources in terms of performance, and all the things, all the cutover tests and data migration would go smooth. And both customer and partner, they actually understand all the processes and so on. So they're kind of auditing, and we actually got a lot of positive things from them as well. And they actually told us many things that actually ensured that we are going in the right way. But one thing I should specifically mention is the user acceptance tests. FastTrack actually tells that you should perform the user acceptance tests on an environment which is enough to make the conclusion. And the problem here is that the understanding of partner might be different from understanding of FastTrack. And in the very beginning of the project, the customer actually is planning a certain investment, saying that everybody, both partner and the customer, they understand that for testing purposes, let's say tier 2 is enough. But then in the end of the project, when FastTrack suddenly appears, they say, sorry guys, the testing with tier 2 is not possible. It's not valid. You should actually test it with tier 5. And tier 5 is a lot more costs for the customer, and customer is not prepared for purchasing tier 5. And we are saying, FastTrack, sorry, but we were not actually thinking that we need tier 5. We thought that tier 2 is enough. But FastTrack says, well, if you would not show us the tests on tier 5, we would not open the production environment for the go live. And that's a kind of blackmailing, and there is no any document that says that we should obligatorily use tier 5 for the test purposes. The documents say that we need to use the tier which should be enough, and this enough is kind of gray area, which might not be the same as partner things and FastTrack things. And if FastTrack would be involved in the very beginning of the project, then there would be enough time to align those thinkings and plan the tires accordingly, and the customer would be informed in a very advance that he should have certain costs for this kind of environment for the test purposes. But since FastTrack appears very late, there is no option to align this view. And this means that we actually have here a potential problem with unhappy customer, which we actually had. The customer was unhappy because they say that he needs to pay for the higher, more expensive environment in order to perform the testing. At that time, we managed to get a kind of discount, and then the Tire 5 has been organized at very affordable conditions for a couple of months. So we finally agreed an exception, and then we quickly made all the tests, and then we finally received the production environment. It was opened in time, but in Christmas time, like 25th of December, we were still not sure that we got it. So everything was like finally agreed in the very last moment. And as you can imagine, when you're trying to go live with 1,000 users in the cloud, and 5 days before the go live, you don't know actually whether you go live or not. It's scary, and we were quite nervous with that. Actually, the FastTrack aims to do a certain kind of assessments, and there is a certain process behind that. And I think you already attended the Success by Design trainings, right? Or at least most of you, because if you're not attending the Success by Design trainings, that you would not be, as a company, eligible for the FastTrack in your projects. So I recommend you to pass this. Actually, this is kind of 4-hour training with a small knowledge test in the end. It's not a big thing, but it would enable your company to be eligible for FastTrack implementations. So naturally, the FastTrack is a good thing, and they actually bring a lot of value inside the project. And the fact that we got a dedicated architect, which means that if the project is expensive enough, then a certain solution architect from FastTrack team is assigned, and he did a very great job. We actually implemented the Russian localization for the first time in the world, and honestly, it was not 100% smooth in terms of the bugs inside the functionality. And during the last 2 months, in November and December, we raised up approximately 300 support tickets to Microsoft with a variety of different bugs, most of them related to localization. All of them were resolved extremely quickly. And without the dedicated solution architect from FastTrack team, I don't think this would be possible, because he was pushing inside all the guys and blowing all the whistles in order to make it as fast as possible. So you can imagine 300 support tickets were resolved in 2 months, and it's like, wow. Microsoft was doing very good job in general as such with this project. However, still, if the FastTrack would appear earlier, then it would be, of course, a lot better and would bring a lot more value to the project and to our understanding how the project should go. And the problem still persists. I mean, still there is the same limitation that if the customer is not buying licenses enough, he is not eligible for FastTrack. And when he actually buys licenses, it's a kind of too late for FastTrack appears in order to affect the whole thing. So you as a partner, you should think that you are actually kind of working with FastTrack in the very beginning, and you should be aware of all the requirements that FastTrack has in order to create all the project documentation that you have in the correct language, in the correct format, following the methodology that FastTrack will apply So when FastTrack appears, you actually have most of your documentation ready for everything. And then you should pass the procedure of solution acceptance. So again, this in the screenshot, there is this is actually the official training from Microsoft, from Tech Talks. It says test on the right environment. It should be at least tier 2 or higher, but in reality, actually, it is not. I mean, depending on the opinion of FastTrack, they might require from you suddenly a completely different higher tier than you actually thought. And here is actually the risk itself. So with that, I still want to change this. And I'm talking to Microsoft, to different people inside Microsoft, that this actually should be somehow modified. There should be more clarity in the documents. There should be probably a procedure when the FastTrack can be assigned on earlier stage. And Microsoft actually says that there is an exception. There is a way how you can ask for exception for the project. But in our experience, it didn't work. We actually asked for exception, but Microsoft was not giving this exception to us. And there are no kind of rules or understanding how this exception works, and have we done anything wrong, or have we provided incorrect information, or have we asked incorrect people. So there is a huge gray area in this sense, and we still would like to modify this. And I hope that if you will also talk to your local Microsoft representatives, or those Microsoft people from product group and sales and marketing group, then probably will be heard on a partner level. And I think this is one of the reasons why our association actually exists, is to push through vendor the problematic things, because as a partner, I'm not feel secure in this cloud journey. And within the next implementation, we have a lot more experience at the moment. And we know what to expect, but I don't want the situation anymore that FastTrack is just not opening the gate and not giving us the production environment because they think that some more tests are needed, and they just ask, hey, please move the go live date. What is your actually experience, guys? Have you been working with FastTrack before, and what do you think of that? Anybody?
Anybody share their experience?
This is Michael from Scales in Denmark. So over the years, we worked with FastTrack. Obviously, in the beginning, all projects that were part of FastTrack, they had to have a FastTrack solution architect involved. But in the later years, I think we've had the same experience as you, Alexander, where we had a very, very large and critical customer. And even though they had not fulfilled the seed requirements, they were still granted access by the product team. And we used them, for input on new functionality, especially I would say on the integration front. We used them a lot because we were, doing integration through Azure and so forth, and how to build that. We got information on that. Right now, we're using them for the same customer that's actually doing a multi-instance setup. So we're discussing with Microsoft how to set this up across different regions, and how to have a global template, despite we are in multi regions with multi instances. So I would say we use them for out of the ordinary stuff, but I would say for the majority of our projects, we're in the same situation, saying customers, they don't want to spend $300,000 on licenses 1-2 years in advance. So they it doesn't really make sense, the model. And I've never heard of any other partners or customers that have actually been willing to spend this much money upfront. So I think Microsoft needs to change this this model. Obviously, I understand that they want to sell licenses; that's their business. But I think it would be easier for our customers to actually buy into this if it was like a fee. You know, you said, well, it might be $50,000 a year to get a solution architect involved or something like that. But or whatever the amount should be, but it's like an add-on service that they could get Microsoft supervision, because I think a lot of the larger customers would be interested in that, because it's, you know, it's a quality approval. Even though we think we're the best partner in the world, you know, it's nice to have Microsoft involved on the sideline, and they can, you know, approve what we're doing. But the model right now doesn't work.
Yep, I agree. And Paul, how do you think, can this be a good idea to sign a memorandum with us, the leading partners from different countries, to provide it to Microsoft?
That's probably a very good idea. Yeah, I can organize that.
Anybody had anything to add, or similar experience or different experience? Another thing that actually bothers me is that there is now even a higher level of entry to the FastTrack. So before that, it has been 150 licenses, and now it's 300,000 USD, which for many customers is actually it's quite high limit, but it might not represent the complexity of the projects when FastTrack actually is needed. So there is again a gray area between 100K and 300K, and it is not actually that much clear how decision is made. Here we have actually the this level of decision making, and we actually are required to nominate the customer, but again, the solution architect and the whole FastTrack process might not be assigned in the way that we want. And at least I still don't have the real understanding on how the decision is made and what is affecting this decision. If I have the customer with 100,000 USD, then what factors actually are pushing Microsoft towards positive solution, and what should I highlight with the customer? That's again a question that I don't know the answer, and if you know, please share. Anybody?
I think I did the Success by Design training back in December, I believe it was, and I was having the same thoughts that you're having now, Alexander. And my conclusion was that for me, this FastTrack setup and also Success by Design, I think it's made for all the partners that are not as professional as we are. I think there are a lot of partners out there that simply do not know what they're doing. And they're doing a lot of poor projects, you know, poor quality in the projects. Customers are very upset, and therefore Microsoft have implemented all this stuff, you know, in order to control and QA the customers. But I think at least for the people and the partners that are in DynamicsPact, I don't think it has that much relevance, to be honest, because I think we are the top partners in the world, and I think we already have the experience and simply cannot gain that much from Microsoft. Obviously, if we're in situations where it's like total greenfields, where no one's ever done something before, like you know, doing the Russian language layer for the first time and all these kinds of new things, it's good to have them involved. I don't think necessarily has to be the solution architects FastTrack. It could also be the product team when you are implementing new functionality. In those instances, I think it's a good idea to have Microsoft involved. But other than that, I think we are pretty self-sufficient and sufficiently professional to do this on our own.
Yep.
Also, what I don't know if anyone else has been in this training, but they're also building up this portal where you can like do a portfolio management, so you can actually add your projects to like a website where you can see an overview of the status, and you could put in like traffic lights and risks and issues and stuff like that. And to me, again, this is a way for Microsoft to get more information into the progress of projects. So obviously, if we put it on a Microsoft portal, they will have access to the information, so they can see, you know, how many projects do we have at risk, how many red traffic or yellow traffic lights do we have. So they will get more information into what they obviously can't see in the systems or in the implementations. And I think it's a way for Microsoft to control us, and again, maybe smaller partners that are having more difficulties implementing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, if you would have any other comments to that, this would be good. Paul, with that, I'm returning the word to you.
Okay, so anybody else want to share their experiences? No? Okay, so Alex, thanks very much for sharing your experience. And Michael, thank you very much for sharing yours. If there's no other questions, then I think that concludes sort of today's presentation. Don't forget to click the link within the chat window to the Facebook group. I'll be sharing all of the session recordings early next week, and I'd encourage you all to to carry on sharing your experiences and sharing knowledge within that group. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us on these sessions. Have a good weekend.